So my journey to Orc Oblivion continues with the trolls that you get in the Mantic Orc army unit. So let's have a look at them. You get 2 bags of 3 in each. So that is a unit in, I believe in Kings of War, is a unit of 3 sort of monsters or creatures like this becomes a regiment. And here they are. And they're kind of interesting. They're chunky old beasts, I have to say, really chunky. You've got a variety of heads. I think there's 4 or 5 different head options. There we go. 4 head options. Okay, 4 bodies, 5 heads. 5 heads. There you go. Which is nice. You've got guy. This particular one has big 2-handed club, axey club, sort of stone club. This one's carrying a boulder of some sort. There's a big cleaver on this guy. This guy's got some sort of like a tomahawk. This guy's looks like he's about to give the finger. There's the other part of the arm with the guy. So, and I've made the first 3 of them up. There you go. There's one of them made up. It was a little fiddly, if I'm honest, especially this guy, getting his arms to fit just right. Had to do a little bit of filling around the top there. But yeah, I think it's okay. Another one here. All ready to go, and they've just been undercoated. So what I'm going to do first up is basically I'm going to give them an ink wash, and then we're going to come back and start with the colour base flesh tone. It's got an awful lot of flesh. You can see they've sort of got plates bolted into the skin. I guess because trolls regenerate, doesn't really matter what they're like. But we'll put a wash on them, and then maybe start doing some skin tone, and I'll be back. So next stage with these guys, they've been primed, and I've done something which I never used to do, and I'm very, very grateful for one of my viewers, and if I can remember who it is, I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in a link here. He said, why don't you wash your figures after you prime them? Because I was complaining about, I can't remember, I think it was some of the other orcs I was complaining about. I couldn't work out where the clothing went and where the skin went. And he said, well, he's quite right. If you prime it, or sorry, if you prime it and then you ink it, it stands out. And so that's what I've started to do. And the other benefit of doing that is it gives a sort of shading already there, which kind of helps along the stages. So that's all I've done with these guys. Primed, obviously constructed, primed, and inked. And he's already looking quite a brute, isn't he? Quite a brute. So moving on to one of his brothers. This guy, I've basically done a similar process to I did with my orcs. So I've used an undercoat of contrast apothecary white, which needs a good shake every time you use it, but is actually a very pale grey. So I did that straight over the top. Now that doesn't actually really make much difference on the base grey colour, but it gives it a nice another layer without taking out too much of the detail, which I think works well. And then I've used my usual BL tan green shade from Citadel over the top. Now I did think long and hard about how I wanted my trolls to be. You know, it's fantasy, so you can do what the hell you like with them, really. And I did think about doing the more skin tone, more human skin tone, or sort of a darker colour. But in the end, I decided I'd go with the sort of greeny skin, because I wanted them to basically fit in with the orcs. And so that's what I've done. And I think it works. You can see here, this is one of the guys I finished. And I think once you've put tones on it, washes on it, given it a bit of a dry brush, muddied it up a bit, I think it looks a really nice dark green color, but it's slightly different to the Orcs. So anyway, that's where I went. So I've done the washes on that green wash. I've done the undercoat flesh. Basically the flesh is largely done. Now next what I'm going to do is just put some extra strong tone wash down through where he's got little stitchings around the edge of the armor plate, basically all the edging areas I'm going to do with that. I'm then going to do the armor plating using my usual my usual, should remember what it's called, using my usual basilicum grey. I'll do all the plate. He's got quite a lot of armor plates on here. I mean, I could make some of them leather, but I quite like them being plate, just appeals to me. And I will probably also make a start on the rock that's in this impromptu club, and maybe even the shaft. So back when we've done a bit of that. So progress is going pretty well with this troll now. I have basically sort of heavy brushed using this shining silver over the basilicum grey, where I'd put all the armor plate, where all the model had all the armor plates, and sort of, I don't know what I call it, heavy brushing. It's like a dry brushing, but a bit heavier than that, over the top, so you can still see a bit of the black or much of the grey coming through, but not too much. I used brain matter beige just to do the strapping, holding the rock on this stick. Also did actually edge around the bit of it looks like he's got sort of padding on a bit of the plate, so I've done that, although actually when you darken that down you barely see it. His loincloth is done. Put a little bit of blood angel red on the tongue and in the mouth, which then again is darkened down. I'll probably brighten that back up again when I do it. I've done his teeth, obviously, and obviously done the basing, and basically a heavy wash. I used Nuln oil, sorry, across the whole thing actually. I was going to avoid doing his skin again, but in the end I did the whole skin because I just wanted to darken it down a bit. The only bit I'm not sure about, might have to do something about the branch or the wood that the club is made from. I used a very dark contrast paint and it's a bit too dark. I wish it wasn't quite that dark. I was hoping to keep a little bit of the texture, and it seems to have swamped it. But anyway, we'll bring that back a bit with the dry brush. Similarly, I did dry brush already the rock, but it'll need to be brought back again because when you put the wash over the top, that sort of by nature dulls it down. But yeah, he's pretty much done. I'm just going to give him a varnish, and then we'll dry brush, and then he'll be done, and he can join his compatriots for the unit of trolls. Back in a bit. They've also had the bases done, you can see, just using the same convention I've used with all this orc army that I'm doing, and everything's had a thorough varnish with Army Painter matte spray varnish. Now the problem with that is it brings it up as a bit, I did all the fingernails, but they seem to have lost the colour. Oh well. Problem with using the spray on, particularly on plastics, I notice, is that you can see they have a sort of almost a shine to them. I think it's, yeah, I don't know, it just always seems to happen. So what I'm going to do next, and which actually helps to finish the figures off anyway, is getting my Iraqi sand Vallejo paint, and I'm literally going to dry brush. Excuse my hand coming in. Let's just get a little bit on the brush, rub it off, largely rub it off on newspaper, seems to work particularly well. And then we're just going to rub it over the top just to get the dry brushing effect, which is what I want. This has a double effect. It dulls down the shine, but also acts like a highlighting for raised areas. And well, it's triple effect, I guess. It also makes the figure look a little bit dirtier, which, given the fact these are trolls, they're not exact. They'd look really odd if they were pristine. So I'm sure you all know how to dry brush. Secret is always to get only a tiny bit on your brush. You rub off virtually everything. And then just work it all over. Check we got everywhere. I think so. Right, I'll do the other one and then we'll be back and basing. Okay, so there we go. All three of them are painted and pretty much finished. Just need to do the bases for them. And they got quite big bases. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to you can see I've used the city, I think it's the Luke APS city rubble basing stuff from them, which is the same same basing material that I've used with the Orcs as well. So I haven't tried this yet, so that'll be a first. So I've got some of Luke's APS coarse rubble ballast here, which is quite chunky bits of rock, and I'm going to get some PVC glue with a cheap brush. Don't use your decent brushes doing this. I'm just going to bosh it on the base like that. And I'm going to get some of, there's my little spoon, there we go. Going to get this coarse ballast. Try and get it to stick. Not sure that's going to work. I think it might need a bit of super glue. So I want the bigger boulders, and so I want to make sure they stick. Tweezers. I don't mind if they sort of rise up a bit. There we go. There we go. I've got a couple more at the back here. Sorry, I'm probably obstructing the view. Me chubby fingers. Oops. bits around here. This cityscape that I've been using is it's got little bits of stone in there already, and they're matched really nicely with this rubble. So, oops. Try and give it a little gentle push down. Then what I'm going to do is get some of my tuft, stick that in there. Hopefully that shows up. And I've got some other tufts, not sure, these are called wild grass 10mm. Which are still quite burnt out. I'm going to use a little dab of super glue on these. I don't want it coming off once I've stuck it on. I'm going to reach right in there and put it in. There we go. And I might just put another one down the back here. So I think I'll use this one. I don't want such a tall grass. There you go. Hope you can see that. I think that works quite well. So I'll be back once I've done all three of them. So there you go, that's these bad boys pretty much done. Well, not pretty much, they are done. And I'm really pleased how they've turned out. I think the effect of the broody nature of the miniature with their basing has worked really nicely, and I've used a few extra bits of rubble and stone that I found out of, well, I didn't find, I took out of a bag of building rubble that you can buy just from a hardware store that I had for a real life project, and took out some of the bigger bits, or sort of the right size stones, just give them a wash, let them dry thoroughly, and I've got a pot on them that I've just been working my way through just when I need a sort of feature on the bases like some of these, and I just think that just adds something to them. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with how the result has come out. So let's have a quick spinny on the cake stand. I think they just look good together. I think the sort of brooding, bulky nature, I mean, they're weird figures. I mean, they've got tiny legs and massive shoulders and arms, but you know, it's fantasy, so who cares? I think the effect is pretty good. I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. It's really I've done a few monsters, minotaurs and things in my Age of Magic armies, but it's nice to do just pure fantasy, just because it's not something I do. So it's just a change and something different, and I'm quite pleased with these. Really pleased with these. So that is done, and it is onwards with some more greenskins at some point, where it's nice to have a bit of variety with what I'm doing. So I don't know when I'll do the next ones, but because I want to get on with some other projects first. But this box set that Ken gave me is pretty much finished. There's another 3 of these trolls. I've done the Great Axeman, I've done the Small Axeman, I've done the extra archers I've done the God Speaker. I've also got a hero character to do, and then that is that box set finished, and then it's just all the other orcs that I've just happened to find my way into my eBay basket. Not quite sure how that happened, but they'll be done in the coming weeks and months, I'm sure, and maybe, just maybe, we might actually get a game at some point and they'll actually see the field. I hope so. Managed to get my first alfresco game in the other night. Not playing fantasy, playing historical, out in somebody's garden, one of my mate's gardens, and it was good fun. It got a bit dark, a bit quick. I think lessons learned, we'll need to have a strong light in future for when it gets very dark, because it was, although the camera shot in the video, if you see it, doesn't look too bad, it was getting increasingly dark to the point where you couldn't actually read the dice anymore, which was a bit frustrating. So, but it was good to actually get some figures out on the table the first time in 3 months. That was good, and you know, hopefully might even get Ken to give me a go with the fantasy figures at some point, if he can come here or I can go to his place and we can socially distance in the garden or something and play if the weather holds up, which currently has been. Anyway, enough ramble from me. Hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe, and I will see you again soon. This is Dom signing out.